Hi guys, it's Ashley from Ashley's Paper Heart, and today we are going to be doing a spread in my junk journal. This was actually for a prompt from back in Junk Journal July. I believe the prompt was pattern. So I decided to make this as complicated as possible on myself, but I really like the way that it all turned out. So I'm starting off with punching some squares out of pattern paper. I'm using this little punch that I believe I got from Michael's a little while ago. It works pretty well. It definitely works better on paper that doesn't have like a lot of softness to it, if that makes sense. I did find that some papers that I chose to try to punch just did not work out, but most of them did. I didn't really have a color palette like necessarily in mind when I did this. I just kind of pulled some papers that I thought would look good together. So my main concept for this is that I kind of wanted to do a throwback to my other hobby, which is quilting, and I wanted to do kind of a checkered pattern that almost reminds me of a quilt. So I'm now looking for more pattern paper because I thought I did not have enough little squares to do what I wanted to do. I actually ended up cutting out way more than I needed, but that's okay. I ended up using a lot of them to make some tags that turned out really cool as well. So no harm, no foul. It totally worked out, even though I did cut out quite a bit more than I actually needed. So, while we're doing this journaling page, I thought it would be fun to talk about kind of like my wrap up thoughts of how my No Buy July went and just some, I don't know, like epiphanies that I had while I was trying to not spend a bunch of money on stationery. So, something that I really thought about is that having a bunch of supplies does not necessarily make you more creative, does not necessarily make your spreads look nicer. And I kind of drew this conclusion back to something that I remember in design school that one of my professors had told us. She said that when our options for design are limited, that pushes us to be more creative. So I kind of take that as the same in any sort of art. So having like a limited color palette in your paint set or having limited paper ephemera pushes you to make more creative choices as opposed to having the world open up to you and then getting paralyzed by all the choices. So I kind of found that helpful, and it was really good to look at the amount that I have. Like, I have more than enough to, if I didn't buy anything, probably for the next 2 or 3 years, I'd probably still not use up everything that I have. And that it's so easy to acquire these things, but it takes a lot longer to actually use them and enjoy them. And that I was finding that I had things like sitting in my drawers that I had, once when I purchased it, was like, oh my gosh, I can't live without this. I have to have it. And then it gets tucked away in the drawer and I completely forgot about it. And I'm not, enjoying that initial thing that I thought that I had to have. So I'm really trying to take a good hard look when I see something and my initial thought is I have to have it, taking a step back, taking a breath, and saying, do I have something already that is similar to this? Is this, sticker or paper set or whatever going to add to my life? Or is it going to just stress me out when things just start piling up in my stash? Something else that I also thought about during this time. So I did end up breaking my no spend for a fountain pen that I really had my eye on, something I wanted to try for a long time, and it was a larger purchase. And to me, the feeling of acquiring something that is, say, a bigger purchase, really good quality, felt better than acquiring a bunch of little things that would equal the same amount, if that makes sense. Like, I think I have so much washi tape, and washi tape is so easy to acquire because the price point is so low. So I could buy, how many rolls of washi tape for this pen, and then thinking, well, would I actually love and enjoy all of those rolls of washi tape as much as I love this pen? And what I'm finding is that the saving for those bigger purchases feels much more, I guess, special and much more intentional than just kind of like impulse buying the lower price point items. I also took a really good hard look at what kind of triggers me to impulse purchase. And I think a lot of it kind of relates back to either stress or boredom. And so I had to sit with that uncomfortable feeling um, during the month of July, where the times where I would normally be like scrolling mindlessly through Instagram or scrolling mindlessly through some of my favorite online shops, instead, trying to find something else to do, something more productive, some other way to relax than to kind of like window shop online. And I have to say, I did enjoy spending my time more intentionally doing other things. So I did end up watching a lot of TV shows that I had been meaning to catch up on. I also have been kind of digging around in my collection of art books, and I have also been spending time doing some more watercolor painting, which I kind of like fell kind of lax on. And remembering that there are things that I love just as much as journaling, that I do have other hobbies that I enjoy and that I'm good at, that I do want to kind of like keep in my rotation of things to do. So those were like some of my like major thoughts of why I do a lot of like the impulse shopping. And last is that I thought about the other like larger purchases and having like these financial goals for myself. Um that was good to take a look at because like I want to get a better camera for filming, and I also want to get back into photography. And those are goals that that I'm going to have to save for, and buying a bunch of stickers or washi tape is not going to help me reach that goal. So I really want to, in the coming months, even though I'm no longer on a no buy, I want to be more intentional with what I purchase. I want to shop my stash first, and also kind of keep an eye on where I'm spending my time, what I'm doing when I feel bored or stressed or sad, and making sure that it's not, you know, not kind of like placing like physical things are going to fill whatever holes that I have at the moment. When I first started talking about my no buy before July started, I did get a lot of feedback from you guys saying that you also have like issues with feeling the need to kind of like keep up and purchase all the new releases. And then also the feeling of being overwhelmed by, your stash. And I totally feel that. There are definitely a lot of times where I look at the amount of things that I have and feel overwhelmed. And I have to like remember that I'm the only one who can fix that. And buying more storage is not the solution. It's slowing down on purchases, being more intentional with our purchases, and, you know, maybe like if there's something you want to try, you don't need to buy like the whole roll of washi tape. Maybe you can find some samples or something. Because I think about like, I know I keep going back to washi tape, but I think about like, I think out of like all of my collection of washi tape, I have maybe gone through like 10 rolls and actually finished them. And that's pretty bad. Like, those things just sit and they're not being loved and used in the way. And I think that when we kind of like take a step back and actually realize how much we actually use, that helps also kind of drive where our purchases are better spent. So now I'm curious, did anyone else decide to do a no buy? Are you in the middle of a no buy or a low buy? How are you managing being intentional with your purchases, or do you feel the need that you need to be? Does anyone else feel overwhelmed by their stash? And if you do, how are you going to kind of like figure out how to manage that? I would love some ideas, especially how, like how to use your stash, how to not feel so overwhelmed with the amount of things you have, or even like organization. I would love to hear about that in the comments. I think that that is probably one of my favorite things in this community, is being able to talk to like-minded people and get ideas, because I have to tell you guys, I have gotten so many wonderful ideas on like everything from you guys, everything from like parenting tips to journaling tips and organization and stuff. And I just love hearing about your experiences and about how you guys manage everything. It has been so incredibly helpful for me to hear about that. So now that we're kind of getting towards the end of the video, I'll get back to what I actually did on the page. I filled up the entire page with my little squares, and now I'm adding some extra fussy cut images that were gifted to me from one of my lovely pen pals and Instagram friends. Um, so yeah, I was definitely on a mission to use some of the things that I love and not just hoard them, because I can't appreciate their beauty if they're not out. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me journal today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!